Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the Pause Menu. We have our returning guest Mark and then our usuals, Jason and Tony.
I come when I can.
This week in the news we heard that Twitch is actually being bought out, this time by Amazon, as opposed to what the rumor was a few weeks ago or a month ago was Google was going to buy them out. So just some initial thoughts of Twitch being purchased by Amazon.
Being a Amazon Prime member, I'm hoping that they give me the Twitch Turbo for free now.
That would be cool.
You are not much of a Twitch person, are you?
Not even a little bit. I love video gaming. I just don't. I don't enjoy other people watching other people play video games so much. It's okay once in a while. I don't care. I'll be sitting there watching somebody for 10 minutes. I'll be like, just give me the controller. So I'm not into it too much. So
okay, I think this is actually a huge. When it got announced by Google initially offered, I believe it was $1 billion to buy Twitch. I think it was slightly over $1 billion, but the exact number. Put this in perspective. I believe Google bought YouTube back in 2006. Was it 1.6 billion? I think it was.
Yeah.
So Twitch now is more than half of what YouTube was, and we saw what YouTube has turned into. I think this is the foresight that people have about Twitch, what it's actually worth, and especially to the gaming world. And I mean, YouTube was so broad. Well, Twitch is exclusively video games too.
Now, with Amazon purchasing them, though, does that also include Justin TV? Which
No.
is the no?
I don't know. Twitch.
Well, Twitch bought Justin TV, so that should include Justin TV as well.
Yeah.
Twitch bought Justin.
Yeah, like 2008, 2009 maybe.
Well, Justin TV was the original, and then they just made their video game outlet. They just instead of being part of Justin.
That's
TV,
what I'm curious. Are they still?
Did I get the complete?
Yeah,
I could have
think you're
swore
getting
they
backwards.
bought them.
No. Justin TV spawned
Twitch. That's what I thought. Also,
as a separate entity of only streaming video games.
yeah,
Don't know, and it doesn't really matter because Justin TV has
a fraction of the audience
Twitch,
that Twitch
has really taken off. While Justin TV has not really kept up with Ustream and YouTube streaming in terms of the premier streaming service for non-video game stuff. But the big problem with Twitch when it was being purchased by Google, people immediately had this backlash that because like Google with all their policies they've changed with YouTube, there was like immediately Twitch went and all the archived videos that you have, like they were going to be removed or audio was going to be blanked if you had like video game music in the background.
Yeah.
Anything copyrighted.
Yeah. Do we think, is this something that we're still going to see, you think, going forward with Amazon? Do you feel we're in better hands with Amazon than Google?
I think it would have been about the same. I really don't think Google would have been stupid enough to limit what Twitch has done already, because honestly, they're running the exact same backlash as they get on YouTube currently, where some of their biggest subscribers have disabled comments for probably at least 6 months now when that first came out. And they have their own forums they opened up just so they don't get comments on their videos. It would have been the same thing on Twitch where, again, you would have had people protesting the fact that you're limiting the content.
yeah, I think the issue is not that Google's some evil monster. It's that they're a huge entity that has to protect their assets, and if they have to disable certain things or make certain things ping, their security to not allow it to play like patented music and stuff in the background to protect themselves. That's what they have to do. Amazon's just as big, if not, I don't know who's bigger between Amazon or Google. They're both ridiculously large companies. They're going to protect their assets just as fiercely. So I mean, whatever Google, I think they're going to be mirror images of what one another would do. I don't think there's going to be much change. They don't want to be getting sued every couple days by somebody for having their music played in the background either. So
Amazon has come out and stated that they're for the most part going to leave it as a separate entity. That they're not going to
combine it.
Yeah, they're not going to bring it into their existing. So I think that's given a lot of hope for Twitch because what had happened is there's an alternative streaming service, Hitbox. I'm sure you've probably heard of it.
Never
No.
been on there.
Have you? Okay.
No.
It's Twitch, but a separate company with more relaxed rules and regulations.
Because they're not as big.
Yeah. When Google was, when the rumor came out that they were going to buy it, there was a lot of people jumping ship. A lot of Twitchers that were jumping over to Hitbox, and a few big names in the video game world too were starting to
Really?
support Hitbox.
Okay.
Jim Sterling from Destructoid, I believe he was, he jumped over there, and so people thought that that like there was going to be an uprising and like almost like a battle of multiple
Yeah.
streaming services. But what do you think Amazon? Do you think Amazon could provide anything that that Google or Twitch itself in its current state couldn't provide?
I think an interesting thing is that Amazon in as many number of months has now purchased Twitch and Comixology, and they're leaving them relatively untouched. I could see some type of like an integration, like let's say I go and I'm looking for Tomb Raider on Amazon on the store. Well, maybe it'll have a little box with like
Top people playing it
somebody,
right now.
yeah, somebody streaming it, so I can look at it and see if that's actually something. That's one integration that I could see.
And vice versa on Twitch.
Have a buy it now button, but I mean, I don't see anything other than that they would really do to it.
That latter will definitely happen.
Yeah,
I guarantee that will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're streaming,
Yeah.
You get the smaller stuff too that's not necessarily complicated or limited to just something that Amazon provides, but I mean they have like their little streaming boxes and they're coming up with that, or it already came out, their little video game version.
That and then the Fire Phone and everything like that.
And you can have like, Twitch-centric apps with maybe exclusive features that you don't get on, because like Xbox and stuff have Twitch apps already, but you can have like maybe they're a little cooler through the Amazon specific ones. So I mean, those won't be as big of a deal or as big of a seller, but it'll help to make it look better.
But what you've mentioned, like it seems like Amazon is continually creeping into the video game world, and there's been rumors of their hardware coming out is not really a console.
It's like a streaming device that plays some games.
Yeah,
It's like an Ouya.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's kind of like an Ouya with a bigger name behind it.
yeah. Do you think? Are we going to see further creeping into the video game world? I don't know if we'll ever see a full Amazon console. I don't think they'll ever dive into that hardware.
I don't think the companies like Google, Amazon, or even Apple need to come out with dedicated hardware. I know a lot of people push for it all the time, but I think they're very comfortable in their mobile markets where they get that, I don't know, you can't even call it a niche because of how huge it is, but those like $1 to $5 to free to play experiences, they rake in a lot of money off the ads. They don't need to get into the huge mega development dollars that go into the $60 AAA games that we all enjoy a few times a year. So if you're asking, are they going to creep into video gaming? Sure. Are they going to tap into the market share that Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft currently have? I don't think so. I don't ever think you'll get that real. There can always be another competitor. I mean, we've seen it come up with the exit of Sega and the introduction of Microsoft, or Atari before that, and so on and so forth. But I think you'll always have just those 2 or 3 companies that make dedicated hardware, and everybody else is just kind of playing second fiddle with their touchscreen games.
Outside of maybe dedicated hardware, like up until a year ago, really, Amazon had like zero involvement in gaming at all, other than you can buy games. Like, and throwing out almost $1 billion. Do you think it seems like a big play for the video game industry as a whole? Do you think it's worth it for them? Do you think they overpaid for it?
No, Amazon's a savvy company. I mean, they started off as a digital book distributor. You know what I mean? And look at what they are now. They're, I think, the biggest retailer in the world. Well, maybe Walmart.
Alibaba is the Asian version of Amazon. They're technically bigger, but in America, definitely Amazon.
So I don't think they're going to invest this kind of money without. I mean, they got roomfuls of people that analyze this kind of stuff, and I don't think they're going to throw $1 billion away. So I'm sure this is going to turn out extremely profitable for them. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't know.
I'm interested to see how they get the money back, because it's a large sum of money to throw out there, and it's gonna be a long time, I think, before they might see a return in the investment, because I don't really know how much you make off that, because for most people it's, if you want to be a subscriber to somebody, it's like usually like $5-10. Yeah, I think it's like $4.99. And then the turbo subscription, do you happen to know what that is?
I think it's $20.
What exactly does the turbo get you?
It's like no ads.
No ads.
I think that's really the biggest benefit of
I
that.
really think that's the only thing.
And
I would imagine you would have known.
And the thing is, Ad Blocker Plus that I use blocks the ads anyway.
Yeah.
And they know I'm using it. They even have a message saying like, "Hey, you're using Ad Blocker, but if you wanted to disable it, they'll get money." It's just like, no, I'd just rather watch it.
Yeah, that seems like that's a big concern for me personally too, because I do a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of stuff on Twitch. People who use ad block, like, what can Twitch like? Because I don't think there's a shrinking number of people that are using ad block. Like every day, there's people
it's
that
growing,
download.
if anything, yeah.
So like, I don't know if that'll ever hit the threshold of 90% of
Oh
users.
No, definitely
But-
not. People don't know aren't savvy enough to go, "Hey, I can block these." I mean,
Well, I think they're becoming savvy enough. Like you won't find a computer savvy person that's over the age of 15 and younger than 25 that has not heard of or not used
some
ad block.
kind of ad blocker.
And as that generation gets older, it's like the
think it's
idea of
passed down.
the idea of watching a 30-second preload ad is
No.
like,
I haven't done it in years.
It's
Don't
archaic.
miss it.
yeah, like, so without, like, I'm concerned for these companies long term for their ad revenue.
I mean, that's one of the main reasons I don't do Hulu, because Hulu, you pay for it and you still have ads in the middle of your show.
right.
I don't necessarily mind like I don't use ad blocker or anything like that. I don't mind the 30-second, 15-second pre-roll. Usually I'm doing something else, getting ready to watch whatever I'm going to watch or whatever beforehand anyways. The only time it's really annoying is if I lose the stream and then go back into it. You have to wait.
Right.
But I mean there's also, I mean, they can just put ads in the screen,
Yeah.
like I don't know, does ad blocker block out the little pop-up that pops up on YouTube?
Yes, 100%.
There's like a constant battle between ads that are not blocked by ad block that eventually become
Yeah.
blocked by ad block.
And then they find a workaround to get it back up. Yeah.
And specific websites you go to, you'll see like they realize you're using ad blocker, and they basically ask you to turn it off because they want to get the ad revenue. Of course, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to see your shit. But it's a battle between both of the people trying to get ad revenue and then the people trying to not see all the stuff they're throwing at them.
Right.
I think the content producers or providers, excuse me, are going to have to adapt. That's what happened. I mean, look at like Netflix. Netflix was like the best way to answer piracy. Piracy is so rampant in the movie industry, but it's like they're working their way around it. And I think that since streaming of video games is still in its infancy, that they're just going to have to figure a better way to do it. Just like, the movie industry had to adjust, where all these companies are trying to follow Netflix's footsteps, where you're getting all these individual channels, apps, where, you can pay that X amount of dollars a month and you get away with not having to see any ads or anything because they're getting their revenue through you paying a few bucks a month. Perhaps these people, instead of going through a thing like a distribution network like Twitch or YouTube, might have to create their own channel where they completely regulate it. Maybe for a couple bucks a month, you have access to that website where everything's going to be a la carte, as opposed to just getting the internet for free and then having that battle between ads or not, where you could just pay $1 a month for the sites you care about, not worry about ads. The people who are providing the content get paid. Everybody's happy.
Right.
They're just going to have to adjust. I don't know how to do it. I don't have the answer, but
I think
something like that.
I think it's eventually going to have to come down to like Twitch or some of these companies that, if that threshold ever reaches to the point of 70-80% of the users are using it, because keep in mind the audience for Twitch, these are, I mean,
Younger, tech-savvy people.
yeah, if you're using Twitch, you're probably more tech savvy than the average person. So, like, I'm concerned about that. Like, I think Twitch might eventually just, I don't know if there's a way to make it where they recognize you're using ad block, then their website is no longer accessible or something. Or, I don't know if they, I think that's going to be the future for certain websites. You have to whitelist their website, otherwise you can't even use it at all.
Yeah, I've had that happen before. You have to, it's like you hit something and it's a pop-up that comes up. So, something that's good, you have to log into something like that. But it does block it, and I've had to disable it. Not very often, but it has happened at least.
You're never gonna beat it because everybody will just find a way around it. Like say there's a video, okay, and the one guy, it's the same thing that happens with piracy of DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. The one guy will legitimately grab a copy and then spread it. So like, say there's a video from Twitch or whatever, they could just record it. The one guy who doesn't have ad block turned off, and then just release it to everybody else. You're never going to beat them.
Well, the thing about Twitch is it's live, so it's not people. They don't care much about archived content.
They can just restream it and you'll be on a 15-second delay. That's how I watch a lot of sporting events that go around where my particular TV service provider doesn't give me access because it's happening way somewhere else. It's just on a 15-second delay. You just go to WYZWIG or whatever.
Yes.
Somebody who's watching legitimately.
We're promoting it, right?
Yeah, somebody who's watching it legitimately.
Hockey Reality does it in HD.
Yeah, you're on a 15-second delay because the guy who's watching it has his TV plugged into his computer and he's just streaming it for everybody else. Yeah, you're 15 seconds behind the rest of the world, but it's how you access it.
Yeah.
There's always a way around it. You're not like I just think certain websites blacklisting ad block is you're just putting up another hurdle for the people who still are going to access it for free anyway, just that they have to jump over.
Well, I think doing something like that with the delay, the average person doesn't know of that. I don't think what you just suggested.
Okay.
I mean, you can get free
Anything.
pay-per-view or whatever if you want, if you really dig enough, but it's not a threshold of where ad block is. So maybe 10% of the consumer base is still, doing stuff, and they'll probably still try to go after them eventually. But, at least more people will. It'll actually generate more revenue. But we'll see what they do with that. I'm not sure. But the explosion of Twitch in the last few years, I think with the Twitch Plays Pokemon that happened earlier this year, that broke the record where they had, I think, 130.
Broke the internet too.
Took over the internet for a while. It had, I think, 130,000 people watching. I mean, at that point, that's challenging a lot of cable news, like on a nightly basis. A lot of cable news doesn't get that sort of viewership on a day-to-day basis. And now with the Xbox One and the PS4, both of them have one button streaming.
Yeah, and even mobile devices, you can stream from your phone. Like if I'm playing Plants vs. Zombies, I can turn on Twitch on my phone and stream what I'm playing on my phone.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's out yet or if it's coming out, but it's right around the corner. Yeah, that you're able to stream from phones.
I know you don't do it, but do you guys stream whenever you're playing?
Oh, you've seen me.
I've seen you on occasion, but every single time you're playing the Xbox One, do you stream?
No. I'd say 75% of the time I'll at least turn it on.
Okay. How about you? Have you used the Twitch app?
Yes, I have. Not very often. I did most of my playthrough of Tomb Raider on Twitch, though, but I haven't really done it since I picked that up.
Okay. Did you have much of an audience when you were watching?
I think about 6 or 7 people.
Okay. And were they like interacting with you?
Yeah,
too?
I know. Lykios was in there, and
so people you know. Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't stream very much.
Yeah. See, I stream all the time with Zelda stuff and NES stuff, and not all the time, but and like that interaction. That's like a different form of entertainment.
It's a little bit harder when you're on console because you either have to decrease the size of the screen that you're playing on so that you can have the chat show up, or you have to put it in full screen and then a little message comes up on the bottom and you have to stop what you're playing, open up the chat to look to see what they're saying to you.
A better way to integrate it, especially with like smart glass for Xbox in particular, would be since you just open up the app on your tablet or phone, and the chat could be there while you play in full screen.
That's actually what I do now. Is for instance, I'm on my Xbox, I'm in full screen mode, but then I have my phone sitting there within chat mode, so I can see if anybody's right behind me.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, that's the 2-device setup that a lot of people have. I use my laptop, but the integrate. I mean, it's like I think what we think of Twitch now. I'll close it on this. Where do you guys see Twitch going in the next year or two? and especially now, one of the big things we didn't touch upon, by the way, is Amazon's server strength too. Amazon is one of those sites that almost never goes down.
Yeah,
because they've got
even
their
on
own-
Black Friday, that's the only time I've ever seen it like jug. I mean, that's a few days a year basically.
And that can only mean good things for Twitch,
Yeah.
especially for a streaming like on those Amazon servers. I forgot what they're called. Their own Amazon has their own servers that they're like un-DDoSable.
Well, one part of it is they're starting to buy old like buildings, like old Targets and Kmart's and things like that, and turning them into server spaces. I don't know if you heard about that. So that there's localized servers in each like city.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have this big box retailer that no longer exists, like Venture, but the building's been sitting there for 15 years. Well, all they're doing is cooling it, putting servers in it.
Yeah.
So
So where do you guys see Twitch going in the next year?
I think the future's bright. The way people intake entertainment over the course of the last decade or so has changed drastically, and it's becoming more and more of a world where you get to watch what you want, when you want, how you want, where you want, and usually for very cheap or free. That's just the way entertainment's getting. So if this is as big as it is and people are continually getting attracted to it and it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger, there's obviously a market for it. I see Twitch getting even bigger. I really do.
I'm going to go with probably another positive outlook for them. Basically, one of the things we didn't even mention is esports. Esports been growing, and that's almost exclusively all on Twitch. If you're bringing any kind of advertisements over to Amazon side for that, hey, maybe find another 100, 200 people who are just browsing Amazon looking for stuff and like, oh, here's that game, and they're playing the world championship of it right now, or anything like that. And it's good cross publicity between the two.
there was an interesting point that Mark kind of touched on, but to go further, Twitch is 99.9% video games, but there is a small and growing portion of it that is actually board games and things are starting to be streamed on Twitch. They had the HeroClix World Championships, and they streamed it live on Twitch. First time I ever heard of that. So going back to the integration with Amazon, if you're looking up something, again, that may pop up as an option to watch somebody streaming that. Then you can see how a board game plays, or how a video game plays, and it's just further integration and it's more exposure for Twitch in the long run.
I see Twitch becoming almost bigger than gaming in a few years. I really do. I think it's going to become like a professional sport where, think about the NFL. None of us play professional football or play
We
even
can watch
casual
somebody
football,
play Madden.
but every one of us watch football. Or, I think
Yeah.
gaming in a few years is going to get to the point where there's going to be pure fans of games
That don't play.
in which they've never and will never play them.
Can I tag up on one more thing real quick? I think that
No, you can.
with video gaming too, it's become so much more than just playing, like kind of
Yeah.
what we're discussing now. Like back in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up, it was just gaming. There was the cool discussions with your friends occasionally on the playground, or that once a month when like Nintendo Power would come in the mail, but that was it. Now like actual gaming is like 25% of what I do in the gaming world. There's looking up more news stories and stuff that's coming out, and watching trailers and reading articles and talking to friends, and I suppose for a lot of people watching people stream, it's just the actual gaming portion is shrinking.
Yep.
You're getting more and more engulfed in the gaming world.
This is a prime example of it, what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I record shows every week.
In a
actual
gaming
gaming
store.
is shrinking. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's an interesting outlook too, and then that's where I see Twitch getting even bigger. So.
Okay, we will leave it at that. We will see what happens. So thanks for watching this week's episode of The Pause Menu.
Panel discussion thingy.
Channel, I thought we...
It's still fun to say panel discussion.
Yeah, panel discussion weekly, monthly,
Monthly.
tri-weekly.
Missed a couple episodes there.
Try weekly.
See you guys next week.